Right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Fit and Fabulous podcast today. I've got Joanna with Open Hands Movement and Dance joining us today, which I'm really excited about. We go way back. We actually danced together in college, which we're not going to talk about how long ago that was, but we've known each other for a very long time. And we've had a lot of great conversations about motherhood and how that change that you kind of go through and becoming a mother physically has such an impact on you emotionally and mentally. And she's trying to help women to learn to love themselves and their bodies and what they're able to do. So I'm going to have her kind of talk a little bit about open hands.
Sure. Good to be here with you. So I started Open Hands Movement and Dance this past spring, and it's still kind of in the works, growing into something wonderful, I hope. And it really came out of my own experience of being a dancer and experiencing like tons of joy because I love to dance, and expressing yourself through movement is amazing. But then also the shadow side of that, which is self-hatred, comparing yourself to others. And then at the same time, yeah, as a mother going through transitions of having 4 babies, and just in my conversations with others, realizing that this is not just a dancer issue, this is an everyone issue. And body hatred is just rampant. So my business, Open Hands Movement and Dance, I teach online movement and dance classes, and I strive to help people, whether they're dancers or not, and whatever level of physical activity they have in their life, to find joy in movement and to use movement as a means of healing their relationship with their bodies. So often we come to exercise as something to fix our bodies. And of course, there's nothing wrong with exercising to become healthier and stronger and more coordinated and flexible and all those things. But we come at it not with love for our bodies. Often we come at it with hatred for our bodies and thinking this is what we need to do to be acceptable or to be beautiful. So my approach is different than that. We start with the love for our bodies, and that is what drives us to move our bodies and express ourselves through movement.
Which I think is amazing. I remember back when we were at Hope, I took my first dance class kind of as a dare from my roommate because I was a biology major and decided I hated biology. I hated studying. And so I like didn't know what to do with this like extra space because dropping that class. And I remember that first modern dance class, and just how freeing it was to just move my body and release some of my stress and my inhibitions, and kind of communicate how I feel through the movement. And I think that sometimes people, when they think dance, they think, prima ballerina. And I think that sometimes women or people in general forget that dance is so much more than that, so much more than the tutus and the point shoes. And yes, that's all dance. And yes, there's a place for that as well. But I think that if women embraced all forms of dance and the way that that can heal your body, and you can find a new love for what your body can do, especially post baby, is a huge thing to gain for ourselves. And I don't know, I mean, how you feel about that too, with dance and loving your body.
Yeah. So I mean, my business is called Open Hands Movement and Dance. So I'm kind of thinking more broadly than just dance, partly to make that accessible to people who don't consider themselves dancers, even if we are doing dance, to make it a little less intimidating. But yeah, for me personally, not only in having babies, but also in the last couple of years as a parent, I've gone through the most difficult season of my life, with one of my kids experiencing some really significant mental health struggles. And at the same time, I had a new baby and we moved and we had job changes and all these different things. Um, so I developed an anxiety disorder. I went through burnout, and it was really through gentle movement and gentle dance that I was able to heal and was able to love myself. Because at that point in my life, I really felt like a failure. Like, while I really messed up this parenting thing, and my marriage was struggling, and I felt like I couldn't tend to my children's needs. I was so exhausted I couldn't make dinner. I had to quit my job teaching dance. Um, and yeah, dance was gentle movement on my own, in my own safe space, was a huge part of my healing. And as I learned how to attune to my body and move it in ways that were healing and felt safe for me, that really helped me connect also to God's love for me. So as I'm doing this movement alone in my safe space, I'm imagining God holding me, or Jesus, looking right into my face with compassion. So for me as a Christian, it's also a big piece of it is not just loving myself, but that love of myself comes from God's love for me. I know that I am beloved by God, and that helps me to love myself. So it's kind of those two things together, the movement and the spirituality piece, which for me have always been intimately connected. um, that helped me to heal. So I don't know if that answered your question directly, but
Yeah, and I think that you make some really great points, because I think as moms, we all struggle and we all have those days where we feel like we're a failure, or we've completely screwed up our kids and oh my gosh, what have I done? And we have these overwhelming moments, and then it leads to anxiety and other mental health issues. And I think that society has taught us as mothers that we need to be able to cook dinner and run the kids to soccer practice and keep the house clean and do the laundry and put it up right away, and not 6 days later like we do at my house. And always have these like well-balanced meals, and the pot roast on Sundays. And I think that society over time has put so much stress and so much burden on mom's shoulders that we all get burnout. And I think that because of social media, we see that Pinterest mom who looks like she's got it all together, or that Instagram mom who's got the adorable family photos in the, iconic family vacation. And we're like, oh my gosh, like I'm not doing those things as a mom. I'm a total failure. And we start comparing ourselves. And I think that on a level, we need to kind of break down this social media, filter of trying to be that perfect mom. And I think that we all need to start being more real about the fact that like being a mom is hard. Like I've had a natural birth and I've had a cesarean. Both recoveries completely different. My body after both completely different. And I find it very hard to love my body even more after my C-section. With the scars and everything else versus the natural birth. And, that's another struggle, but it's something I feel like as moms that we're really not discussing, and we're all just kind of keeping held in instead of letting it out and being like, hey, these are my struggles, and coming together as moms and admitting to all each other that like, this is hard, and let's like figure out how to come together and help each other heal and take some of that societal pressure off of us.
Yeah. Yeah, another big part of my healing, and this ties into movement. Like I said, I had to quit teaching. I couldn't really dance. Like I wouldn't have been able to go to a dance class at a studio and participate fully because my body was so fatigued. So in general, and with exercise, I had to just like lower the demands that I was putting on myself. And I started to embrace this kind of low demand lifestyle where I just all those things aside, you scroll through social media, like you said, and you see the perfect family photos and the vacations and the first day of school pictures and all those things. And I was never someone who could keep up with all that stuff, but especially during my burnout, I had to just put that all aside and say, that is too much for me. And some days making dinner is too much for me, or not having my kids on screens for hours is too much for me. And I needed to do like the bare minimum, set aside all those expectations and say, today existing is enough. It's okay if I can't exercise. It's okay if I can't play with my kids. Like, we're just surviving right now, and that's okay. And to like feel God's love for me in that moment, like, yes, this is the hardest season I've ever been through. And of course it's hard, like that, finding that compassion for myself through the eyes of God. Of course it's hard. Anyone experiencing this situation would be struggling right now. This is not that there's something wrong with me that I can't handle this right now.
And I think that's something I struggle with. And, my children and I have tried to make this routine of doing dinner and devotional, which I know in today's world of fast foods and microwave dinners and chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, that carving out that family time is hard. And, putting God first some days is hard. And I think that the other thing we need to permit ourselves as moms is to admit that, like you said, there are days when it's hard, and it's just, what, you just have to let it go. And I don't know if your kids are into Bluey. Mine love Bluey. My youngest is now absolutely obsessed with Bluey. And I remember the episode where Bluey is trying to do mom school, and Bluey has all these like balloons, and he's like, that she's treating as like her kids. And there's certain things that Bluey does, and mom's like, ooh, yeah, no, like that's not exactly how we want to approach, momhood and stuff like that. And dad comes in and he's trying to take care of Bingo. And she's like, ooh, good dad technique. That's great. And, dad gets distracted by the cell phone, and Bingo runs away, and just like, oh, dad, wrong move. And it's a thing where, Bingo ends up losing one, or not Bingo, Bluey ends up losing one of the kids at the end of the day, and it like flies out the window, and Bluey's like, oh my gosh, I failed mom school. And I think as a mom, like that really hits, because like I feel like there are those days as moms, like we're like, yep, I failed. And sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes the tears just have to flow.
Yeah. And I love like what they wrote in that script is like, you know what? You try again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as mothers, like I know it's a kid's cartoon. I know it's a bunch of dogs. It's, kind of this like whole silly thing that parents are like, oh my gosh, I need to like live the Bluey life now. I need to be like the Bluey parents.
Yeah.
It's created this whole new pressure.
Right. High standards from the Bluey parents. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But I think that some of the points that show makes, especially as a parent, is huge. That there are days when like, you know what? I failed momhood today. And that's okay. And I think that's where as moms, we need to find that safe outlet that lets us let go of that and release that frustration, and have that safe space where we can start healing and realize it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day, and we just try over tomorrow, and give us that grace that God gives us.
Yeah. A key piece for me has been just remembering that God created me with limits on purpose. He did not make gods, he did not make us gods. He is God and we are not. And sometimes it's not so much a matter of sin as it is just our human finitude. Like, by the very nature of being human, we can't do it all. And that has helped me to be much more gentle with myself.
And I think that is a key piece too, is that I think as moms, and I know myself, I am so guilty of this, where I'm like, I can do it all. I'm a single parent,
Oh
but
yeah.
I will do it all. I will be both parents. I will be there
Mm.
for every little thing and will do every little thing because, I'm going to do it and I can't.
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
that's one of those things we need to remind ourselves often is like, you know what? We don't have to be everything. Our kids will be just fine. And that what's more important than trying to be the perfect bluey mom in today's society that has all the beautiful pictures on Instagram is being the mom that is healing and taking care of herself. I think that a lot of times that is the thing and the key piece that we forget that is truly important as mothers is taking care of
Mhm.
ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah, I had to learn it the hard way because I thought I could do it all early on. I'm very into eating healthy and natural cleaning products, like eliminating all the toxins. I'm like, as in my ideal world, I'd be as hippie as you could get without the drugs. Um, so yeah, in my early on in my parenting journey, I was doing the cloth diapers and making everything from scratch and making all my own cleaning products and my own body products. And I thought I'm going to give my kids this toxin-free life. And it was this standard that I set up here. And I thought, I can do it. I can pick all the local produce and make my own jam and applesauce and everything. And yeah, that along with the mental health decline of my oldest son, that was really what put me into burnout, thinking that I could do it all. And it took me took me a while to learn my lesson and to realize that sometimes the healthier choice is to feed your family frozen pizza instead of killing yourself making something amazing from scratch. It's
Yeah.
a much more holistic view of health that doesn't just take into account physical health, but emotional health and monitoring our own energy levels. That's a key piece in order to keep being who we want to be for our kids. We can't, yeah, hold
Yeah.
ourselves to this ridiculous standard and still like be present to them.
And I think that's the more important thing is that as we try to keep up with everyone else in society, that we forget to truly be there for our kids and to be present and to enjoy those little moments that we have with them. And
Mhm.
I have learned with having my second that the time flies with kids. And I know it went fast with my daughter who now started first grade this year and my son's a little over a year and a half. And I'm just like, I'm not sure where the last year and a half went. Like, I feel like that time was much longer with my daughter,
Mm,
and I cherished it much better than I did with my son. And I've let
mm,
the chaos of today's world impact enjoying those little moments, because I was
mhm,
trying to keep up with everyone else. Was like, oh, with my daughter, I did all these things. So I'm like, I have to do them with my son, or he's going to grow up and hate me because I didn't make him, his avocado from scratch instead of from a jar. And, it set this whole like panic where I'm like, I don't want my kids to be like, oh, well, I have the older kid syndrome because mom did all this with me. And you have the younger kid syndrome because, mom did it this way. And I'm like, I'm going to make everything equal. And it's killing me,
mm.
absolutely killing me. And it's a thing where it's like, you know
Yeah.
what? I just need to realize like life is different. The season I'm in
Mhm,
now with
mhm.
two kids is different than the season I was in with one kid. And
Absolutely.
that I just need to give myself more grace. My son will
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
We are creating our own memories in our
Mhm,
own ways. Um,
mhm.
and I'm just learning to try and cherish that. I tried giving my son his first haircut because I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna pay for this anymore. I'm gonna try to do it myself. It's a boy, it's gotta be easy. And I butchered his hair. Oh my gosh. It's so awful. My friend who normally cuts it, she was laughing so hard at me. And part of me wanted to yell at myself because I was like, what was I thinking? I've screwed up my kid. He's totally ruined, and then I realized, you know what? He's a year and a half. He's not going to remember. it's gonna grow back in like a month anyway. His hair grows so fast. We've got to cut it every other month. So it's like it'll grow out and then it'll be fine. We've got no
Yep.
school pictures to capturize it, and have it as something that we torture him with, 18 years down the road. But it was that thing where I was like, I see all these, mommies who do all the cute hairstyles and all the other things, and
Oh,
trying to keep up with that, like, oh my gosh, it's the most awful, hilarious haircut. And it's that thing where I was like, you know what? I failed as a mom today, but try again tomorrow. Not gonna buy clippers anymore. and we're just gonna try new. We're just gonna, admit that there are some things as moms we just cannot do. We're just
yes.
not capable. And there's
And
nothing
we
wrong with that.
don't have to be good at everything.
Yes, yes. And I proved that I am definitely not good with the pair of clippers.
That is a-okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So, but I really appreciate you coming and talking with me today and having a very open and difficult conversation, because I know as moms, being vulnerable and sharing the things that we try to kind of keep bottled up and behind closed doors for fear of judgment and ridicule is not an easy thing to do. It's really not. So I really appreciate you coming and talking with me today, and I wish you the best of luck with
Thank
your
you.
business.
You too.
Yeah, it's a fun journey, and it's that thing where I want to help moms make themselves a priority without killing themselves.
Yeah.
And it's that thing where I think we need more outlets for mom that are like this, where they can go do the dance and, have that time to themselves to heal and feel better, and I want to show moms, hey, here's some super quick, like, set it and forget it meals so you can have, the 10 extra minutes to yourself, go hide in the bathroom and play Angry Birds, like, take some time for you. Because it's so important. It's so important as life gets more complicated. It's becomes more and more imperative that we as mothers really start making ourselves a priority and taking that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
You're
but
doing good work. I'm excited to see
so are you.
your
And
business blossom. Yeah.
yes, yes. And I do hope, we can collaborate again in the future and everything. Because I would really love for moms to have that chance to um, you know, dance, even if it's not professionally. They're not going to be the next prima ballerina for the New York City Ballet. I still think dance is extremely important as a way to just release some of our things. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
again, I appreciate you, Joanna, for coming today.
Yeah, thank you for having
And
me.
I hope everyone checks you out on Facebook
Yes.
and Instagram.
Yep.
And I hope you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.